Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, welcome back to our final session for the day. I hope you all had a very refreshing coffee break. In this session, we will focus on From Digitalization to Environmental Sustainability, Shaping Innovative and Dynamic Future Through the Twin Transitions. We're very honored to have our four distinguished speakers with us, guided by our esteemed moderator, Dr. Hwang Jun-seok, Director of Seoul National University Global R&DB Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce our speakers as well. Ms. Citra Hadayani Nasruddin, Program Director at the Tech for Good Institute. Mr. Toan Quach, Associate Economist in the Macro Financial Research Department at AMRO. Mr. Hak-seok, Director of Partnerships and Governance at the GGGI. And last but not least, Ms. Lim Hui Yi, Senior Director in the Economic Advisory Team at EY. For your information, once again, questions collected from the audience will be displayed on the screen in front of the panelists. Thank you very much. Then without further ado, please allow me to hand the floor over to our moderator, Dr. Hwang Jun-seok, and the panelists.
Thank you, beautiful Miss Moderator. And my name is Jun-seok Hwang, and I'm this session 3 last session of your moderator. I'm very happy and also to give my great appreciation and congratulations to ASEAN Connectivity also Forum, also ASEAN-Korea Center, who have been holding this forum for 13 times continuously. I think community building and also the social capital we've been doing together will be a great foundation for the future. I'm very happy to listen to previous sessions, which talk about political economy and geopolitical. In a sense of, for last decade, what ASEAN connectivity has been focusing on. And definitely institutionalization, like the ASEAN-Korea Center, or physical infrastructure, or intelligence and leadership, like a growth and maturity. I believe our ASEAN actually make a very strong achievement in a way that we are in a time to think about the future. So in this session 3, we'll be moving from the concept of the connectivity in a traditional sense of physical and hardware and monetary system into the future connectivity that what we are talking about, digitalization and also environmental. Many of you may be aware, recently all around the world, including Korea, experienced a lot of environmental disaster, flood, earthquake, and also big fires, and also in the town and in the mountain and forest. We have to look at back that whether we have a disaster responsive infrastructure, or connectivity, where we can actually react on. One of the things that our digitization has been keeping all those data, now we do not forget. The problem is the same problem has been occurring, and capability of the government and current infrastructure is the same as before, so we don't have a solution. We need to think about current disaster and current sustainability issues, what we are facing, how much we have been grown since 2000 for 25 years. I think that will be our kind of great reflection, how we can think about this twin transition. Twin transition, as you can actually interpret, digitalization of the transition, which symbolize innovation and development and growth and living better, and also making new. In the same way, environmental sustainability. That another part of the twin is a preservation and recovery and preparedness and safety and peace and the balance. These are in somehow countering value, but at the same time, these are the pairwise and balanced value. How can we balance those into the sec? It will be our discussion. We have a very distinguished, diverse experts from non-governmental sector and including NGO and also entrepreneur and also professional, including myself in academia. But we'd like to say that what is the future, what we need for this technical and also environmental disaster, what we are having. In a sector of the digitalization, as you can see, Korea recently, Kupang, has all spillover of data and ID, and we don't know who has that. But these are not only here. All the digital crime, right? Data center, the building, and government corruption, and supporting the economy are still threatening Korean, ASEAN, and all global society. I believe we are in a very, very strong cross point over where we should reflect what to do. I'm very happy to also recognize we are in a transition of that 10 decade of the strategic plan of the ASEAN Connectivity Division. I'd like to first introduce our first speaker from Indonesia, and one of the strong and promising, diverse and creative economy of ASEAN, and symbolizing also unity, where the home of ASEAN resides, in Bandung. So Ms. Citra Handayani and Nasruddin has been program director at the Tech for Good Institute, where she oversees research priorities and leads initiatives that promote responsible, inclusive digital economies in Southeast Asia. She brings extensive experience across the private, public, and non-profit sectors with expertise in the fiscal policy, financial services, and technology innovation. As you can see, her career resides with the humanity of the future. She has been actually including the significant work in research and advocacy and governmental advisory and strategic policy development, especially her tenure in Indonesia's public sector, and she has been also contributing to the initiative in climate change tourism and creative economy driven by her commitment to gender equality and economic inclusion. She holds a master's degree in public policy and administration from the Columbia University, and also Bachelor of Art in Communication Services in Padang University, which is one of the best universities in Indonesia. Please welcome her for her presentation. After that, we will have another great speaker too. Thank you. Let's welcome her.
Thank you so much, Professor Hwang. Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, good afternoon. Annyeonghaseyo. My name is Citra Nasruddin. I am the program director at the Tech for Good Institute. It's truly a pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to be here today at the 13th ASEAN Connectivity Forum. A sincere thank you to the ASEAN-Korea Center for inviting us to discuss a topic that is absolutely foundational to this forum toward a resilient cyberspace in Southeast Asia. So essentially, it's about cybersecurity and digital economy in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, at the heart of the ASEAN connectivity vision lies the aspiration for a truly seamless and integrated digital region. Today, I will argue that cyber resilience is the foundational layer of trust required to achieve that next level of connectivity. For those who don't know us, the Tech for Good Institute, or TFGI, is a non-profit organization or think tank funded by Grab in 2021 in Singapore, with the mission to encourage conversations around how the promise of technology and digital economy can be leveraged for sustainable, equitable, and inclusive growth in the region, hence the name. We focus on 6 largest economies in Southeast Asia, namely Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. We, as mentioned by Professor Hwang earlier, we produced a research report, we conducted dialogue as well as thought leadership. And for us, cybersecurity isn't a side issue, it's the engine of trust. It's a tool to ensure the digital infrastructure, which are digital highways and also bridges, is safe for everyone to use and connect across border. So over the next 10 to hopefully not more than 15 minutes, we'll cover 3 areas. First, the astonishing pace of our digital economy and the critical cyber challenges that come with it. Second, how governments are responding, framed by our resilience framework. And finally, concrete recommendation for ASEAN and its partners to secure this connected future. So let's set the stage. The growth story of Southeast Asia's digital economy is frankly undeniable and incredible. We are past the COVID-driven acceleration today. We have close to 5 million internet users, and our digital economy is projected to hit $1 trillion by 2030. This momentum is sustained by 3 factors. First, people power. We have a young, dynamic, and tech-savvy population ready to innovate. Second, the foundation of our growth is our digital connectivity. With 130% mobile penetration, Southeast Asia is a hyper-connected region. Every platform, every payment, every transaction is an act of digital cross-border connectivity. And third, new habits. Consumers have permanently shifted. I guess back in 2021, based on our research, we found that 1 in 2 consumers adopted mobile payments. I think Mr. Hwang later will tell us probably the number has increased since then. But essentially, the digital floodgates are wide open and our connectivity is soaring. But here is the critical pivot. This massive digital transformation is a double-edged sword. With hundreds of millions of people online, the risk and the target area for cyber threats also explode. The Global Risk Report 2024 is crystal clear. Cybersecurity is top global threat. Why? Because cybercrime is a massive organized global industry. I can not emphasize that organized enough. Let me give you a statistic that should shock all of us. In 2023, the global cost of illegal activities in cyber realm was estimated at $8 trillion USD. 8 trillion, so it's such a massive, a big number. If cybercrime were a country, it would be the 3rd largest economy in the world. And this global threat is destroying the seamlessness and the connectivity promises. And so Southeast Asia alone has seen an estimated 600% increase in attacks. And these attacks don't just cost money, they destroy, again, the trust and interoperability that ASEAN connectivity is built on. The region's top 1,000 companies tend to lose 750 million USD. So the question is no longer if we will be attacked, but when then how we will stand up to the shock that's coming. The good news is that Southeast Asian nations recognize this challenge. They understand that to fully harness the digital economy, we must move from mere security to building true cyber resilience. ASEAN strategy affirms this. Security is a key enabler. But we need to operationalize this idea. We need to force this discussion. Resilience is not about just building an unbreakable wall. It's about recognizing that attacks are inevitable and uncertainty is the new normal. It's about building the muscle to adapt, absorb the shocks, and continue to function. So elevating the conversation to resilience forces governments, business leaders, and individuals to commit to constant evolving development to keep pace with that kind of threat. So how is this resilience manifesting in real-world policy? Our research on evolution of tech governance across C6 countries show a clear direction focused on future-proofing our connectivity. 3 policy trends stand out. The first one, hardening the foundation, is about critical infrastructure resilience. Governments are moving from reactive fixes to proactive whole-of-nation defense. Indonesia, for instance, has a new roadmap for vital information protection, while the Philippines is requiring telcos to meet rigorous international standards. This tells us that governments now view securing essential public services as integral to national security planning. The second trend is defending the citizens by tackling scams and online fraud. The fight has moved from server rooms to the hands of the consumers. We are seeing governments expand defense into customers' protection and cross-border accountability. In Thailand, for instance, they introduced a shared liability framework, making banks and platforms jointly responsible. And then Singapore's new Protections from Scams Act allows for real-time freezing of banking facilities. So this is critical move that redefines cybersecurity as a trust-enabling public good. And the last trend is securing the future by governing frontier technologies. Governments are looking past the current horizon. Vietnam is mandating security controls for data processed by AI, and Singapore is extending its security trust marks to include AI and operational technology. And Malaysia is already preparing for a post-encryption world by focusing on quantum-safe readiness. So all of these policies show a strategic focus on long-term technological disruption, ensuring the region remains competitive and resilient. Now, let's zoom out to the regional picture. Cyber resilience is the core mechanism that underpins all digital integration in ASEAN. We are moving from local fixes to a regionally connected response. The frameworks you are seeing here are essential roadmaps for ensuring that digital connectivity is not just fast, but fundamentally secure. ASEAN is strengthening its operational capacity for connectivity, establishing, for instance, interconnected CERT networks, computer emergency response team, and conducting joint incident drills with partners. This is about building of a single secure digital neighborhood where information and commerce can flow safely. Crucially, the focus has expanded to new areas like AI safety, online scam prevention, and victim-centered guidelines, extending digital safety into consumer protection and digital rights. The ultimate goals of ASEAN connectivity is embodied in the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, or DIFA. And for us, DIFA is not just a plan for trade, it is the framework for a truly seamless and interoperable digital region. And the engine that powers this seamlessness is trust. This is why cybersecurity sits at the heart of DIFA, especially in the elements governing cross-border data flows, as well as online safety and cybersecurity. For cross-border data flows, it ensures that data, which is the lifeblood of digital economy, can move securely across our interconnected system, while online safety and security is around embeds resilience into the entire regional threat environment. So what's the actionable roadmap to future-proof our connectivity? We recommend focusing on two critical fronts supported by four enablers, key enablers. The two fronts are strengthening national capacity and enabling regional collaboration. We believe that resilience starts at home, so the region is only as strong as its weakest link. We must ensure every member state has the strong institutions, the skilled people, and the secure infrastructure to stand up the cyber risks. Second, cyber threats don't respect borders. ASEAN cannot achieve true connectivity through isolated efforts. It must be built as a connected system with shared standards, collective threat intelligence, and coordinated responses. How do we drive these two fronts? To the four enablers on the slide. First, technology and data by investing in secure infrastructure and real-time data sharing. Second, through people, closing the talent gap by building professional pipelines and raising the digital literacy for every citizen. Third, through institution and coordination, ensuring strong, well-coordinated national CERTs and regional bodies to act quickly, not in silos. And the last one is around policy. We need adaptive and harmonized policies that facilitate secure cross-border cooperation. So harmonization is the key to true digital connectivity. This roadmap, strengthening national capabilities while expanding regional cooperation, is how we future-proof ASEAN connectivity. It ensures the digital highways are secure, the bridges are trusted, and the entire region is ready to achieve its shared vision of a secure, seamless, and integrated digital future. I'll stop there. Thank you. 감사합니다.
Terima kasih, Citra. I'm going to speak some Bahasa. Also to Malaysian. So Citra stresses very important aspects of cyberspace, which also representing digital economy. Digital economy represent some commonness and similarity with environmental economy and environmental sustainability. In a way, there is no borderless. Chinese environment issue is Korean environment issue. ASEAN environment issue is global environment issue. In the same way, digital and cybersecurity issues of Indonesia is cybersecurity issues of Malaysia and whole ASEAN and also Korea and all part of the internet. So in such kind of problem, always we know that we have to do together. But there are institutional failures such as GCF and many UN organizations who fail to under the common cooperation. I think we have some very important momentum. We need to think about what real connectivity is. Thank you, Citra, for the valuable speech. I'd like to introduce another distinguished MZ generation professional, Mr. Quach from Vietnam. And Tom Long Quach is an associate economist and data management officer at the ASEAN Plus 3 Macroeconomic Research Office, which we call AMRO. His work focuses on the financial digitalization and cross-border payment in ASEAN 3 region, including co-authoring policy papers supporting the ASEAN Regional Payment Connectivity Initiative. He also contributed to advancing AMRO's analytical capacity by applying machine learning and big data analytics and modern econometric method to the macroeconomic research and data management. Mr. Quach holds a Master in Public Policy from the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore, which is one of the best in the world. At the event, he will speak on the development of the ASEAN Regional Payment Connectivity Initiative and border trend in financial digitalization across the region. Definitely financial connectivity and also balancing inequality or reducing polarization is very important part of the economy for the healthiness and sustainable economy. I believe Mr. Quach will also give us very genius and also very forward-looking suggestions how the payment connectivity can evolve to create the new leadership of the financial sector from the ASEAN to the world. Please welcome Mr. Quach for his presentation.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So in the previous presentation, we have learned that cybercrime have no border, but unfortunately for digital payment, there are borders. So that's why today I'm very happy to share the key insight on our recent work on how do we bridge the border in this cross-border payment. Specifically, I want to present on how seamless and interoperable payment can act as the catalyst for more connected and integrated ASEAN. So my presentation today is a high-level summary of our work on financial digitalization as a whole. We're drawing mostly from our recent policy paper on the ASEAN Regional Payment Connectivity Initiative. From now on, we call it RPC, which I co-authored with my colleagues, Prashant and Edmund. So now let's begin with some global context. So around the world, we are seeing that cross-border payments are undergoing a profound change. The industry is expected to have been accelerated rapidly since 2019, and at the same time, they are becoming faster, cheaper, and much more transparent. As we can see from the chart on the right, the scale of the global cross-border payment is already well above to $150 trillion US, and it projected to grow by 6 to 7% annually in the upcoming decades. One of the key to this growth is the transformation of technology that has brought to the payment field. So the traditional payment corresponding model in cross-border payments, which is multi-layer, slow, and costly, is being reshaped by advancing technology, which make payment more instant, low cost, and user-friendly. As reflected by the chart on the left, which show the cost of remitting $200 US overseas. So the traditional corresponding banking model, which highlighted by the gray line, has been it remained very expensive ever since. However, the digital channel has been consistently deliver remittance at a very low cost. Indeed, annual study by the World Bank has suggested that remittance cost via digital means is now reaching around 3.5%, which much closer to the SDG goal of the UN of 3%. So how does technology make this happen? Our study across the ASEAN economy suggested that there are 3 key technology groups that power such transformation in payments. First, the real-time payment system. So what we are seeing now is across the ASEAN economies, almost all of the economies now have a fast payment system. Like we are having Pay Now in Singapore, PromptPay in Thailand, Do It Now in Malaysia, among others. At the same time, authorities also have made great effort in standardizing a single national QR payment standards. So what the infrastructure do is they was primarily built for domestic transaction. They're providing an instant payment as a public goods at low cost. And at the same time, they also ensure domestic interoperability of all of the market participants. So what it means for cross-border payments is these actually provide a foundation for the potential regional connectivity later. Secondly is the adoption of international standards. So we are seeing is the implementation of common standards, notably the ISO 222, allow different payment systems to speak the same language. What it does is that when a data field and messaging so what they do is they provide a common notebook for everyone to follow in terms of making data field and messaging. So once these are harmonized, a payment initiative in one economy can now be processed automatically in another without any manual intervention needed. Last but not least are the development of API and proxy technology. So API has been used extensively in the tech sector as a key connection between different application and infrastructure. So what we are seeing is that as the finance will catch it up, bank, wallet, and fintech apps start to use API to establish information highway to connect with each other in a fast and secure manner. At the same time, we have proxy mapping technology, which make cross-border payment more accessible and inclusive. What these do is they replace lengthy cross-border information, such as the IBAN or the SWIFT information, with much more personalized information, such as phone number, email of the recipient. So these make payments simple for user, while the system can handle the complexity on their own behind the scene. As you can see from the example on the chart, on the slide, is a screenshot of a pay now, do now linkage. A customer from Malaysia can now just select information from their contact, and then from in Singapore, and then from there, the system will automatically map the simple phone number to the actual bank information in the end, which makes transactions simple, easier to do, and safe. Taken together, these three are providing the very basic of the cross-border payment linkage. So across, what happened? Sorry, I think for some reason there was an issue with the slide, but amid this global transformation, the RBC had entered the regional payment connectivity arrangement with an aim to modernize payment infrastructure. So the initiative was launched in 2022 by 5 central banks, and that now since been expanded to 9 members. In short, the RBC aims to promote cross-border payment with an increasing emphasis on promoting trade, remittance, investment, and people mobility across border, encouraging cross-border transaction, particularly by those by the medium and small enterprise, as well as promoting the use of local currency in cross-border payments. But it's important to highlight that the RBC does not emerge overnight. It's built upon and complemented by several ASEAN efforts, such as the ASEAN Strategic Action Plan and Financial Integration, the ASEAN Digital Master Plan in 2021, and even later, amongst others. So one of the key highlights of the RBC that we are seeing now is the growing network of QR and fast payment linkages. So this map illustrates the selected bilateral and regional connection. So those are the linkages between the fast payment system across the economies. So the pay now and do now example you see earlier was one of these. What these do is they allow sender and receiver to transact instantly with each other overseas using their own currency, and everything happens in near real-time basis. Thanks to the linkages, people can now pay merchant overseas just by scanning a QR code that they see on with the home banking app. For example, for nowadays, if I go to Thailand, I can use my PayNow, which is a very popular Singapore app, banking app, to scan the QR code in Thailand and then pay using Singapore dollar. At the same time, some linkages also allow instant cross-border funds transfer. For example, a person in Singapore now can transfer funds to others in Thailand and Malaysia. In short, this innovation will promote tourism, where a tourist can pay using the home banking app. We'll help migrant workers to send small remittance at home at lower cost, and also to empower MSME, which now can participate easily in cross-border trade and digital marketplaces. But our region is actually not alone in pursuing a regional payment integration. When we compare the RBC with other regional initiatives, such as those by the Europe, Africa, Middle East, as well as the Central America, we are seeing that at the high level, we share similar technological advancement and connection standard. So we see the similar keywords of ISO 222, as well as the linkages of using API and linkage of fast payment system. However, the ASEAN model is very distinctive in a number of ways. First of all, it's very retail-focused, whereas in most of the other cases, the developer focusing more on the wholesale system. Secondly, is the emphasis on using local currency and financial inclusion. So what we are seeing is like by promoting the linkages, this system actually offers several benefits to retail users when they use the local currency, such as, and then eventually all of these efforts will contribute to the development of a local currency market. Some estimates suggested that by we linkage the two payment systems together, the cost of FX can be reduced by up to 30%. Structurally, the RBC is also distinctive. It's a very MOU-based collaboration rather than a treaty-based. We also do not operate based on a single central management system, and there are no underlying treaty or infrastructure. Also, at the first side, we can see that we will have the member economy to have more flexibility in terms of adapting to the connection initiative. However, as you may have guessed, they also bring a number of challenges that I want to highlight. So there are roughly around 4 main categories of challenges that we see, and most of them will stem from the way that the RBC and also the Insight initiative have been created. So first of all are technical differences. So they refer to issues remaining to the remaining difference in standard and formats used for API, data, and messaging. So what happened here is, as you have seen in the earlier, most of the RBC start from a domestic fast payment system. So these were built with a domestic first focus. So because of that, these were built to fit the current technological infrastructure and the home regulation. But in the cross-border context, the domestic first design will lead to difference in data standard and formats, will lead to fragmentation and chunking data that when they do cross-border transaction. Secondly is on the governance and operational challenges. So they actually refer to the issue in arrangement, rule, and operational aspect of the available and as well as the future linkages. So when they participate in bilateral linkage for now and in the future multilateral linkages, all of the participating institutions have to follow different eligibility criteria, also have to follow service agreement. At the same time, they will also agree on several other operational aspects, such as how to set a more time frame, how to dispute resolution, how to set up the loss sharing rules. So the issues are much more complicated in a cross-border model because the solution then we have to fit at both at the receiver and then the sender side of the regulation. And third are the regulatory differences. So they refer to difference in data sharing, data privacy, and data storage. At the same time, one of the most key differences that we found is most countries have different implementation of AMA and CFT law, which is about anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing. So all of these will result in different in risk assessment and real-time risk scoring. So what happened is in a near real-time cross-border payment, a certain transaction that we deem as safe in one country can actually have to be re-screened and handled again at the receiving country, mostly because of the difference in terms of the interpretation of the AML CFT laws. And last but not least is about scalability. So as you have seen earlier, currently we are all operating mostly on a bilateral basis. So we have linkage, but between one country to another. And these pose a huge challenge to future growth and scalability. Because when we talk to the market participant, we found that the establishment of every bilateral linkage like that requires substantial resources to harmonize the infrastructure, to set up a common operational arrangement, and also to have to meet all of the regulatory policy. So these actually add up and induce a very large cost of entry for everyone to enter these bilateral linkages. So they will actually affect the economy with the smaller FX market and demand. So, and eventually they will hurt the scalability of the whole initiative. So as a region, how do we it moving forward? So we suggest there are 4 key areas of work that we should do to help move the RBC ASEAN forward. First is to enhance and continuously harmonizing across the region or interoperability. So achieving harmonization is a gradual process, but this can be accelerated with the advancement in technology and cooperation. The authorities should encourage the existing payment to gradually align to international standards to the extent as much as possible, so that in the future, the integration can be eased. But there are some differences because at the same time, they will also have to minimize the disruption to the current existing user. Secondly, is about to deepen multilateral collaboration. So deeper multilateral arrangement can be an effective solution to the regional cross-border payments. A majority of the initiative worldwide follow a centralized approach, either using a hub and spoke model or providing a centralized common platform model. And these actually can bring down cost of connection and encourage everyone to standardize regionally. So a notable example that we are seeing in our region is the Project Nexus, which were participating by a lot of the central bank in the region, as well as the BIS Innovation Hub. So this model provides a hub and spoke prototype where all of the fast payment system in the ASEAN region can connect to, and only they have to make into one connection and then gain the connection to all of the other participants. So this kind of model will have reduced the cost greatly. Third is to future-proofing the ecosystem. So now we are seeing the emerging technology such as distributed ledger technology, which is used in blockchain, multiple CBDC platform, and as well as regulated stablecoin. In our region, we are seeing several multiple CBDC platforms that are being developed by some of the member central bank. And then they're seeing that we have seen the technology potential for instant low-cost international transfer, while at the same time, they also enable the possibility of automate all of the AML and CFT in the system. So as a region, we don't need to adopt into every new innovation immediately, but then we need to keep monitoring the development and thinking about how they might complement the existing linkage. Finally, to consider into wholesale. So far, we only focus on retail payment, but over time, the scope may be extended to wholesale and payment as well. This integration will help generate high-value transaction and reduce the cost further. This integration also provides a significant boost to the usage of the local currency. However, this would require careful attention to technical and compliance risk and to how the arrangement can interact with the broader capital market and financial market integration in the region. Now, I just want to end my presentation with 3 key takeaways. So first, cross-border payment are the core infrastructure of ASEAN integration. It's more than payment. It's underpin trade, tourism, and remittance, and financial inclusion. Secondly, technology has made regional payment connectivity feasible and scalable. All of the 3 key technology I mentioned earlier have given us the tools to make payment cheaper, faster, and safer for everyone. And finally, the part we had is all about harmonization and cooperation. To unlock the full potential, we need to deepen the coordination between everyone and then to better standardize, to further standardize technical standard, regulatory framework, and multilateral initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quach. Shin Kamon. So, well, we already witnessed very rapid and miraculous growth of Indonesia and also Vietnam very recently. I think with the digitalization, definitely that economy will be accelerated. The issue is there are not only acceleration, there are a lot of other endogenous things we need to also focus on. For example, polarization. In terms of economy, no country in the world is developed economy in terms of the polarization. Has not. I believe digital economy or environmental or sustainable we are talking about actually try to have a different foundational thing, like a humanity. And also, because of that, we are experiencing a lot of stress and disaster, but we don't have the resources to cover that. That is what we call public interest and social welfare. If there's a lack of capability of dealing with public interest and social welfare, what is the justification having a government in a nation? But I think we are witnessing the problem together so that we can at least prepare ourselves for next decade and also next 5 years, that to make us sustainable. I think time is still given to us until 2030 for the UN SDG. By looking the two MZ generational genius, Citra and Quach, or giving such a light to other, I believe we have a great potential. Now we'll be moving on to from the digital economy and digital transition, another twin, environmental and green and urban sustainability. I'd like to introduce our Korean, my home country partner, Mr. Ryu Hak-seok, and who will be talking about the GGGI, which is also a very important organization of R&D, and also preparing the future for the global community from the point of global green growth. Since joining the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2002, Mr. Ryu has cultivated a broad range of diplomatic experience in bilateral and multilateral and consular affairs through posting at the permanent delegation to the OECD and the embassy in Belarus and the consulate general in Los Angeles. From 2020 to 2021, he served as a Director of Energy and also Scientific Affairs Division at the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Since his joining the GGGI in 2021, he has played a pivotal role in overseeing in the collaboration between GGGI and the Korean government. He is now leading the Department of the Partnership, Government, and Communication as a director. Mr. Ryu will be talking about how Korea also utilize Korea and also cooperation further with the ASEAN region and also some of the country about ASEAN, and so how those actually give some of the project opportunity for us to do the green transformation together. Let's welcome Mr. Ryu for his speech.
Thank you, Chair. And also thank you for your lengthy, detailed my career, so which I almost forgot. Thank you so much. Yeah. So as the moderator told, yes, now I work for the GGGI as a director of the partnerships, governance, and communication. But before joining GGGI, so yeah, I was a career diplomat in the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs for a long time, more than 2 decades. So as you see on the screen, so my theme would be fostering climate action in a connected ASEAN. So this is quite trendy, attractive to me. So that's why I converted myself to join this GGGI. So in this screen, so on the right upper side, you may see the logo of GGGI. That looks quite dynamic. So indeed, it symbolizes the connectivities. So when the early contributors to create GGGI, so they thought what the green means, and so what the environment itself. So they try to link the dots and to formulate this symbol, so which shows the connectivity and its importance in green and environment. So indeed, so green has a meaning in the discourse of connectivity. So since green has its own externalities, which requires us to go together, work together in the more coordinated way. So in the discourse of connectivity, green is really meaningful, and we need to work together, and that requires us to take climate actions. So indeed, my presentation has 2 parts, not it's 5. So I have 2 introductions. First one is on my organization, and the other one is BKCF, and the other AKCF and NKCF. And there are so many abbreviations, acronyms, but so during the course of my presentation, so you may be familiar with these acronyms. So GGGI. So most of you does not have full knowledge about GGGI. So indeed, GGGI is an international organization that was created in 2012 at the Rio COP, Rio Convention of Parties at the time. So indeed, during the last 13 years, so GGGI has been one of the most successful international organizations. So it started from 6 founding members, but now it has 55 member countries. So indeed, on the slide, on the screen, so you may see the 52, but after I submitted, so we have 3 new member countries, including Luxembourg. So now we have 55 member countries. And in this speed of growing numbers shows that the growing interest in the green sector. Green is a really cross-cutting area. So in the perspective of all the times, green only applied to environment, forest, agriculture. But now we can find everywhere. So in urban, in mobility, of course, energy and others. So now they are talking about the transaction in carbons, so which is invisible. So now we are talking about the invisible, something invisible. So it is really difficult. And also my second introduction is about BKCF, first acronym. So indeed, GGGI has been the fund manager of BIMP IAGA ROK Corporation Fund. So indeed, there is a concept of BIMP in the ASEAN countries. So regarding the maritime ASEAN countries, so there are Brunei, Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. So they call themselves BIMP. So from their first capital, so Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines. And also IAGA. IAGA means that East Asia Growth Area. So these 4 countries designated sub-regions of their countries as East Asia Growth Area. So Korean governments created a fund 4 years ago to contribute to the economic growth for these regions. And fortunately, GGGI, so in particular my division, my department was chosen to manage this fund. So why it is important for the discussion of connectivity, since it has 4 major pillars which has connectivity. So first pillar is environment, and second one, tourism, third one, connectivity, and fourth one, agriculture and fisheries. So every January, we announce the call to receive submissions, and we select and submit our shortlist through the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ultimately to 4 governments for their final decisions. So out of these 4 pillars, we usually select 6 to 8 projects. So for the meantime, the size of the fund is 5 million per year. So indeed before, so it started from 1 million to through 2 million and 4 million. So now we expect to receive around 5 billions. And let me explain about the connectivity project now we are working on, so in terms of the BKCF. But why connectivity in BKCF? So it is really important. As I mentioned before, BIMP is a maritime country. Most of them, they are island. Of course, Malaysia is not an island, but so they have long peninsula. And also BIMP Iagar region of Malaysia is an island, Sabah, Sarawak, so the part of Borneo. So connectivity between the connectivity among the islands and or in the area of maritime area is really important. How to connect them is a question. So BIMP countries themselves defined connectivity in their perspectives. So indeed, there is a concept of BIMP Iaga Vision 2025, and they created new one. So the screen you are seeing is the kind of old one. So the connectivity pillars is from the BIMP Iaga Vision 2025. So they see connectivity in terms of 4. So first one is transport, second one is trade facilitation, third one, power and energy, and fourth one, ICT. So the priorities you may already see on the screen. But it is really important to make connectivity among islands. It is really important to have aligned policies. So physically connect them is really difficult. Sometimes it costs a lot. So indeed, we cannot build highways, bridges among them. So we may find another way to connect them. So even culturally. So this is kind of effort. So making some sea routes among them or to facilitate trade among them. So this is the effort. So in the level of BIMP Iaga. So indeed, this is one of the projects which was already concluded in terms of the BKCF. So this project is about the recap, energy sector. So recap means renewable energy certificate. So indeed, this project was implemented by the ASEAN Center for Energy, also international organizations. So through the implementation, they found some facts in these 4 countries. So indeed, there are kind of large gaps. So in this area of renewable energy certificate, so surprisingly, Brunei doesn't have any REC policies, while Philippines has kind of sophisticated compliance-based REC market. But you know, REC is really important to facilitate the transactions of electricity or to facilitate the transition into a cleaner generation of electricity at all. So this discrepancy is really kind of important factor. So when we think to facilitate kind of these transactions. So this kind of effort was already uploaded at the level of high enough. So like 16th BIMP Iaga Summit, which was held last May. And also the ASEAN Center for Energy is trying to expand this impact across the ASEAN itself. And also the other project now we are working on is about the agriculture itself. So indeed, this project was initiated from the small island of Mindanao, Philippines. But this proponent of this project is a really small social venture. So they have a big dream to export or import the local agricultural products. so between these regions. So the local product from small island can be exported to another regions in the BIMP. So it may help the growth of the local farmer, but they don't know how to do it. So this social venture wants to support this local need. So they are working on. So you already see some outcomes. So they already developed of Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, I mean the sea route transactions. And also they heavily rely on public-private partnership for this. So now we help this dream of kind of sea route transactions to be realized in this through this BKCF. And the other project now we are working on is about AKCF. This is also quite similar to BKCF, but A means ASEAN. So indeed, Korean government has 3 pipelines for ASEAN regions. So the first one is AKCF indeed. So since this is the first one which was created, so ASEAN-Korean Cooperation Fund. And then after that, so they created MKCF, Mekong Korea Cooperation Fund. I will also touch upon a little later. So AKCF projects now we are working on as an organization is about methane reductions. So indeed, why methane is important? So indeed, methane is quite much stronger than CO2. So in terms of emissions. So of course, there are various calculations of methane's potential to emit, but more than 20 or 30 times, so it emits. So the coordinated effort in the regional level is really required. So now we are working on the methane reduction through the ASEAN continent. So except very small, except some countries, now we are working on development of the project itself in each ASEAN member countries. The total size of the project is $20 million. And this is the biggest of its kind in the world. And my last slide is on the MKCF. That was the second old child of the Korean pipelines for these regions. So indeed, this is about the plastics. So you already know that, so there are global efforts to conclude global plastic treaty, but it is still lagging behind. But to prepare to address the plastic itself, plastic challenges itself, so now we are working on the readiness is capacity building in the Mekong countries. So plastic has been one of the biggest problem in the region. So how to reduce the plastic or how to manage the plastic waste itself. So now we are working on this through the Mekong Korea Cooperation Fund. So this is just a small piece of iceberg now we are working on. I just chose this project since this is the event hosted by ASEAN, Korean ASEAN Center. So now I chose the Korea funded projects, but we have a lot of projects working on the connectivity itself. So should you have any questions, just let me know later. Thank you.
Hak-seok 국장님 감사합니다. Thank you so much in Korean. Well, like Mr. Liu, as a diplomat and who conveyed and also contributed his life as a professionally, and also using all his diplomatic power, capability, and network, and also in Korea, inside Korea, that fundraising, contributing to the global organizations such as GGGI. I'm very proud of you, and also including many of our government officers from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. At the same time, some of those Ministry of the Finance and also Planning. I think many of our government officers, I think in general, are very highly educated, intelligent, like all MZ generation. At the same time, we have also the period of the transition. like Mr. Yu, and who are contributing to the global by their, I think these are kind of that we see and the future of our ASEAN and also Korea relationship. Definitely, I believe these funds, what he talked about, will be raised. Definitely, more about our ASEAN economy will have more importance. For that reason, I believe maybe more about other countries, right, join together to create this kind of cooperation fund. I greatly appreciate Mr. Yu for sharing your effort for the global economy. The last but not the least, and also great, and another MZ star, Miss Lim Hui. And Miss Lim and her first name is Hui, is a director of Ernst & Young and patron Singaporean Economic Advisory Team. She has over 17 years of experience in economics and financial analysis and strategy development and public policy from her role with the Central Bank of Malaysia and also ASEAN Infrastructure Investment Bank and in consulting with many of government organizations. She has led studies for the engagement with the government and multilateral organization and business in the areas of economic planning, infrastructure development and financing, industry and trade development, digital economy and digital trade development, finance sector development, and also inclusion and skill development and public sector reform, and macroeconomic forecasting. So that means a lot of reform and innovation work, public innovation work that Ms. Lim has been involved for the last 17 years of her great young scholarly and professional work. Ms. Lim holds her BA and MA in economics from the University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. So she is global talent. So please welcome her. She will be combining digital and also smartness with environmental sustainability, where we can find the sweet spot and how to balance that economy so that we can make our ASEAN connectivity make a true changes for the global humanity. Let's welcome Miss Lim.
Thank you, Professor Hwang. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. I know I am the last speaker for today, and it has been a very long but very enriching day. So I will try and keep this very short and hopefully concise, so we do have some time for discussion. As Dr. Hwang had introduced, I am Hui from the Economic Advisory Team in EY Parthenon based in Singapore. For today, I will be speaking on the sweet spot of convergence, leveraging the twin transition for smart and sustainable urban development. Coincidentally, I have the pleasure of wrapping up a lot of the different topics that have been touched upon both in the session this morning, in the session earlier this afternoon, but also by my fellow panelists. So since 2020, half of ASEAN people already live in urban areas. And among these people, more than 25% live in mega cities of more than 1 million people. By 2030, ASEAN's urban areas are expected to accommodate another 100 million people, and at least 50% of this urban growth is expected to happen in cities of less than 1 million people. So secondary and smaller cities are becoming increasingly vital in determining the sustainable urbanization of the region. Not only is urbanization continuing, but it is continuing at a very rapid pace. As you had heard earlier this afternoon, in May of this year, the ASEAN leaders adopted the ASEAN Connectivity Strategic Plan, ACSP, which covers the 2026 to 2035 period. It builds on previous initiatives, including the Master Plans on ASEAN Connectivity, the MPAC 2010, as well as 2025, the ASEAN Sustainable Urbanization Strategy, or more commonly known as ASUS, as well as the ASEAN Smart City Network. As you had also heard earlier this afternoon, previously, sustainable urbanization was part of sustainable infrastructure in the ASEAN region. But with this new ACSP, it has now been identified as a strategic goal in and of itself. So one of the strategic goals inside the ACSP is smart and sustainable urbanization. It seeks to enable cities and villages, so both the urban and rural areas, to capture the benefits of smart and sustainable development while managing the risk that usually comes with it. This includes congestion, pollution, income and social inequality, and all this is so as to be able to enhance connectivity, narrow the development gap, as well as promote sustainable economic growth and social cohesion within the urban and rural areas, but also between the economies within ASEAN as well as ASEAN and the rest of the world. If I think about smart and sustainable, technically there are two different notions, but they do have a lot of synergies. So what is sustainable urban development? The concept of sustainable really goes back to the United Nations SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. They are underpinned by the three main pillars, which we have heard a lot today. The first in terms of the economic pillar, or prosperity, where it seeks to promote sustainable, inclusive economic growth, innovation, decent work, and responsible consumption without harming people or the planet. The second pillar is really in terms of the social element, people. This is about ensuring quality of life, equity, inclusion, human rights, health, education, fair opportunities for all. And third but not least, the environmental pillar or planet. And this looks into conserving natural resources, protecting ecosystems, biodiversity, and tackling climate change. In contrast, what is a smart city? There are many definitions out there, but what is common across the definitions is that it seeks to use technologies such as the Internet of Things or IoT, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence, to name a few, to find efficient and affordable solutions to urban challenges. A smart city typically has components around big data analytics, so really looking into the collection, processing, and interpretation of data to be able to transform some aspects of the city. So really in terms of urban development, whether it's in existing cities or in rural areas that we would like to urbanize, they are conduits for connectivity, whether it's from a physical, institutional, or a people-to-people perspective. And as I mentioned, there are synergies between the two concepts of smart and sustainable. Smart really uses to harness technology, digital solutions, as well as innovative non-technological means to a purpose, which is really sustainability, whether it's from the economic, social, or environmental front. And I had only picked up a few definitions across. The first one is from the ASEAN Smart City Network, particularly the ASEAN Smart City Framework. You see in bold, it alludes to using technology or innovative technological means, and in underlined, really looking to address the sustainable development pillars. Similarly, the definition in Smart City Korea, but also the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, they draw along similar lines where it is really looking to use technologies, information and communication technologies, to be able to enhance competitiveness, livability, as well as protect the environment and culture aspects as well. Smart city solutions are not new. We know that many cities, many urban areas, rural areas have tried and tested them, and they have succeeded in being able to help cities not only develop, but sometimes also leapfrog to achieve more opportunities as well as growth. Smart city solutions have been applied to a variety of themes and areas that contribute to sustainable development. And just to name a few, drawing on the work from the World Economic Forum, listed in front of you are 5 different areas. First, in the area of governance and policy, smart city solutions have helped with urban planning, city operations and finance, as well as citizen engagement. From an environmental front, it has helped with reducing pollution or preventing pollution from the air, land, water perspectives, but also in terms of enhancing biodiversity protection as well as rehabilitation. From a social perspective, it has helped with public safety and security, health and provision, social inclusion, as well as education. And from an economic perspective, not only in terms of being able to enhance the efficiency, reduce the costs, and strengthen the productivity of infrastructure and services across a range of sectors, but also to help economies as well as businesses be more innovative and competitive. In the recent years, AI developments have really exploded significantly, and you can't sort of talk about the global economy and developments these days without talking about AI. So for the next few slides, I do want to, I think, allude a little bit to where AI can also be helping with smart city strategies. AI enables cities to analyze and interpret complex data sets, manage urban systems more effectively, and support adaptive data-driven governance. For example, it can help to optimize resource use by detecting inefficiencies, forecasting demand, and automating resource management, whether it's in terms of energy, water, or potentially even transport. It can also help to manage systemic complexity, for example, by detecting interdependencies across infrastructure and services, such as between power supply, healthcare, and mobility, so as to anticipate the cascading failures and coordinate responses across agencies. We're all very familiar in terms of urban development where stakeholder coordination can be very complex and can be very challenging and sometimes really constraining urban development. Another example is in terms of promoting inclusive urban development by improving access to information, tailoring services for diverse populations, and supporting participatory planning processes enabled by strong governance and safeguards. So when deployed responsibly, AI can reinforce the productivity, adaptability, equity, and sustainability of urban systems. I wanted to go through just a few case studies in terms of how AI has been piloted in certain countries in the environment, economic, and social area. So first and foremost, AI in urban mobility and transport, and this is a case study from Barcelona in Spain. Barcelona operates a century-old metro network with more than 130 stations and over 400 million passenger journeys. The Barcelona metro faces challenges, in particular matter pollution, thermal stress, as well as ventilation inefficiencies. And the traditional ventilation systems rely on fixed operations, which often result in inefficient energy use. It limits the adaptability to real-time conditions and only modest improvements in thermal comfort. So given the increase in urban density, as well as the intensified climate pressures, the Barcelona city has prioritized the need to maintain passenger comfort, air quality, as well as safety underground. What the Transport Authority in Barcelona has done is essentially to create and deploy an AI-powered ventilation control platform. They have called this Respira. And the aim was to reduce heat and improve air circulation in the metro. So Respira integrates and analyzes more than 500 data points annually. It is a self-learning algorithm that continuously adjusts fan activity to balance thermal comfort with energy efficiency. And it has a centralized platform that allows operators to monitor and control ventilation remotely and adapt quickly to changing conditions. It also has predictive capabilities to support long-term planning and help to prioritize maintenance and capital investments. So Respira was first introduced in 2020 on Line 1, and it has been scheduled for expansion to Lines 1 to 5 in 2025, which together carry nearly 95% of total passengers. The pilot operations have demonstrated benefits to both environment as well as the society. From an environmental perspective, it has reduced energy consumption by 30%, and it also cut carbon emissions by 700 tons since its implementation in 2020. From the social side, it has decreased the ambient temperature by 25%, and this has resulted in passenger satisfaction increase of 10%. Now, looking into AI from a more economic development perspective, it was again applied in Turin, Italy, for tourism and hospitality. So in Turin, tourism is a key economic and cultural asset, but the city faces challenges in managing visitor flows, providing real-time and personalized guidance, as well as ensuring accessibility for internationally and less digitally savvy tourists. The traditional information channels were often fragmented, and did not generate behavioral data needed to inform tourism and mobility policy. The city of Turin basically developed an AI-powered assistant designed to personalize and simplify tourism services. This was called the Navigation Exploring Tourist Assistant, NETA. So NETA draws on databases as well as anonymized user interaction data, such as itinerary choices, visit durations, and it aggregates the information to protect user privacy. The AI integrates natural language processing and semantic search to provide multilingual and context-aware recommendations that are tailored to user preferences, location, time, and events. The system operates on a 5G cloud-enabled infrastructure and is deployed at strategic visitor touchpoints, starting right at the airport. So when looked at the results, again, there were clear benefits from being able to utilize the AI assistant. The multilingual AI support and simplified language made the service more accessible to international tourists as well as those with limited digital literacy. The personalized itineraries and mobility suggestions improved visitor experience and helped to disperse tourists across the city. And the aggregated behavioral data also provided valuable insights for urban tourism policy as well as mobility management. Now moving to the third and last case study, much closer to where we are today, Seoul metropolitan area for urban safety. So the Seoul metropolitan government operates one of the largest CCTV networks. Traditional surveillance relied heavily on continuous human monitoring, leaving blind spots and limiting the city's ability to prevent and respond quickly to incidents. These constraints created pressure on staff, reduced inefficiency, and raised concerns about public safety in a dense urban environment. The Seoul metropolitan government has applied computer vision to the city's extensive CCTV network, and it had also launched an AI-enabled CCTV initiative to strengthen prevention, improve response times, and build trust in safety services. So the AI analyzes real-time video streams from more than 110 cameras across the city. The computer vision models recognize behaviors such as falling, wandering, aggression, crowd density, or smoke detection. The system therefore detects potential incidents, such as crime, violence, accidents, fire, individuals in distress, and therefore is able to support search and rescue or manage emergencies. Again, looking into the results, it has delivered tangible safety and operational benefits, often being able to flag high-risk events for human review. The smart cities, while able to contribute to sustainable development, often requires the right conditions for its development and its efficient and ethical use. From experience, it is complex to implement because of the diverse technologies and applications it entails, the diversity of assets it requires to perform, and because the technology frontier is often fast and rapidly evolving. Three specific areas that are required. First, data governance and risk management. We've heard a lot that with technology also comes risk, and given how central data is to smart systems, there is a need for sound urban data governance. With AI as well, there is a need to manage the risk and therefore come up with a risk framework to be able to identify, classify the potential AI risk and provide guidance for monitoring and mitigation, but also to set restrictions where necessary. The second is really in terms of digital infrastructure. Smart cities require a backbone of digital infrastructure, which on the back of that requires reliable and stable physical, energy, and institutional networks to perform. In a lot of the ASEAN cities, but also in the more rural and remote areas, digital infrastructure, sometimes even energy infrastructure is still limited and perhaps not stable enough to be able to support such smart technological use. And last but not least is skills development. There is a need to be able to upskill people, including in the public sector, not only the technical skills, but also the soft skills to use technology, including AI. On the technical side, the ability to understand the technology, how to use them productively, but also to mitigate the risk, how to be able to collect, clean, as well as analyze the data that is then available, but also on the soft side, how to be able to communicate, collaborate across different stakeholders, whether it's in government, at the central as well as local level, whether it's institutions, society, and even financial investors to be able to ensure that there is the financing to be able to develop such smart cities. With that, let me thank you for your attention, and I'll pass it back to Dr. Hwang. Thank you.
Thank you, Hui. And Ms. Lim, I greatly appreciate for sharing global case. And well, I think on consulting firm like Ernst & Young, very important. The global knowledge exchange would not be able to accomplish in this stage without such a global, great expert network such as Ernst & Young. So not only governmental, ASEAN connectivity, and also Korean GGGI Center, I think these all diverse organizations are very important. We are given only 5 or 6 minutes by the grace of the controller. We already have a common, like a statement we want to declare. What would be the 5-year out of 10 decade plan roadmap in a way that how we actually do that twin tradition, right, from the perspective of all the experts. I will start with Citrus for your cyberspace connectivity for the transition.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Hwang. I guess before we go to that direction, we need to acknowledge first that every state member has different level of readiness, maturity, as well as resources. That's why our proposed roadmap is two-front. The first one is strengthening national capacities, and then the second one is enabling regional collaboration. And then, although strengthening national capacity is very important with things like improving things in areas like technology, people, institution, as well as policy. I think enabling regional cooperation is also imperative because it enables all of the member states to be able to benefiting from the collective strength that ASEAN has as a system. So I think that's what matters is the implementation. So in short term, I would say that we need to tackle urgent issues such as scam. And then we can do this by, for instance, harmonizing scam definition or adopting a shared victim protection principle. And then in the short to mid-term, I guess we can, I would reiterate or echo what Dr. Sofyan, the previous speakers in the previous session has mentioned about the importance of ASEAN minus X approach, which allows the region to move forward without having to wait other or every state member to have the same level of maturity at the same time. And then the last one is in the long term, I guess we have to be realistic that full harmonization is a long-term goal, and the path forward involves interoperability as well as shared minimum standard first, which DEVA has already given guidance about, particularly in the area of elements like data protection as well as cybersecurity. So that's from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, Citra, so definitely our collaboration and cooperation will increase our safety and security in the area of the cyberspace. Mr. Quach, I think payment side, right? Interoperability and other issues probably.
So I just want to borrow a lot of words from Ibu Citra just now. So I guess the keywords of the next 5 years should be around harmonization and interoperability. So I think the same principle apply to cross-border payments, because of currently a lot of the challenge that all of the digitalization and everything have done is just trying to harmonize all of the different standards, all of the different data regulation, all of the different system into seamless flow of information. So I think I should hope that in the next 5 years, we can achieve further integration of payment within the region, so we can connect more economy into to each other. It can be via via multilateral linkage, or even via more bilateral linkage. Although for me personally, I prefer more multilateral solution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Quach. And Mr. Liu, for maybe, I think for 5 years, GGGI has some plan for the transformation, especially maybe in the accomplishment of SDG. So would you be able to give us, how ASEAN, also Korean cooperation can actually strengthen through the GGGI?
Oh, so really simple but tricky question and important question to GGGI. Indeed, GGGI as an organization has greater interest in ASEAN, but ASEAN is one of the kind of vulnerable areas under the threat posed by the climate crisis. So the cooperation between GGGI and the ASEAN regions, so by nature, so it'll grow. So, but how to address the climate changes? So we need technologies. So to address these challenges in the more efficient way. So without the technologies, so we cannot. But technology itself cannot be applied to most of the ASEAN regions. So in the ODA or development, there is a jargon, appropriate technologies. So sometimes best options, best technologies cannot be applied directly to the regions. So we can find really good tailor-made approaches to the region itself. But nowadays AI is leading the technology itself. So now we should think about AI-based climate actions. So AI for climate, this is really important. So since the climate is something invisible, so we need to rely on the AI in the more wiser way. So AI-based MRVs, monitoring, measurement, reporting, verification, that kind of thing should be thought out. So this is my answer to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ryu. So like a previous session, importance of AI and also change of AI actually gives a great actually opportunity and challenges. So we need to follow up there. And also, Ms. Lim?
I'll keep this very short. I think when it comes to urban development, the next few years should really focus on 3 words. The first one, capacity building. The second one, implementation. And the third one, holistic coordination. As my colleagues mentioned, capacity building is really important in the ASEAN region. Being able to help the cities, the local levels identify and prioritize their needs so that they can then identify what technological solutions are available to be able to help achieve these needs. Secondly, when it comes to implementation, we can't just plan. We do need to actually start implementing. That's where we could then look into where are some of the areas that can be improved. And the third one is holistic stakeholder coordination. As I had mentioned, in cities, in rural areas, you really need to bring together many different parties, the central governments, the local governments, the different institutions, whether it's the infrastructure developers, the owners, the community, but also the financiers to ensure that as you plan for smart city projects, they are bankable and therefore they can actually be implemented well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. As a final closing, I really thank you, all the audience, for your great attention. As a moderator, I'd like to make 2 statements. First, as a professor of technology, economics, and management policy, well, technology has been with the humanity, and also technology is the one that identifies humanity. We started using a stone and build our civilization. For that regard, managing whatever available so far and how to use it for the future of our humanity is a very important thing. I think in that regard, we are exchanging our connectivity division and also diplomacy as a meaningful collaboration. The second one I'd like to state as a Korean. Okay, I born in 1967. That means in the year 2000, I become 33 years old. And since then, I've been a professor for 25 years. Well, I've been witnessing the digitalization of Korea. Well, we're starting from the public sector and also focusing on the bottom up and starting from the education and also public and the community and small changes. I believe it was possible. I believe also it was seamless. So I believe those effort is not avoidable. What it means, we need to go through all these basic and essential part of the capability of dealing with innovation. I hope we ASEAN society and also global society want to look back how much of our citizens, our society and government are open for the innovation and changes and transformation. I think changing our habit and human and our socialism is very difficult, but in Korea, I've been witnessing, almost for the 60 years of this life. I hope MZ generation, and now we are Alpha generating, which represent AI will be the great gadget for the new generation. I hope we merge together to create this miracle of not Han River, but miracle of AI and digital. I believe digital has a capability of languages, at the same time technology. In that regard, this digital and other city. And smart city is great platform for us to achieve both smartness and sustainability. I believe we need to work on together, like a Rome civilization. I mean, the new civilization of smart civilization should happen. I believe we have a already great success story. And I'd like to say that my connection to ASEAN is I'm operating ASEAN Smart City Professional Program to educate 300 government officers by the support of the ASEAN-Korean Cooperation Fund. I believe this fund will be continuing, and I've been running this kind of scholarship program for 22 years, and now reaching global digital transformers, about 400 master and PhD, and from 90 countries. I think this kind of approach should go on. I believe our center should stress the importance of the talent and global humility. Thank you so much for your attention, and also I beg my excuse for the delay, but I hope you can understand Korean way. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the wonderful session to our moderator and our panelists. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have now wrapped up all 3 sessions of the ASEAN Connectivity Forum. Thank you very much once again. I would like to invite everyone back to their seats. Now, before we officially conclude today's forum, I would like to once again express our sincere appreciation to all of the speakers of Session 3 for sharing their valuable perspectives and enriching our discussions. Thank you very much once again. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of all official programs of this year's forum. On behalf of the organizers, we extend our deepest gratitude for your active participation and meaningful contributions throughout the event today. We do hope today's discussions have offered insightful perspectives and inspired new ideas for the future of ASEAN connectivity. Thank you very much once again. And before you leave, we kindly ask for your participation in the Forum Satisfaction Survey. Your feedback is essential for enhancing future programs. Please access the survey through the QR code provided at your seats. Thank you very much. And we also have a small token of appreciation prepared for all of you. So again, please make sure to pick one up on your way out. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today. And this officially concludes the 2025 13th ASEAN Connectivity Forum. Thank you very much.